So Tucker Carlson is teaming up with Elon Musk. I think I called that. And not only are we going to be talking about that, but we're going to be talking about the effects that he could have on the overall news cycle outside of Fox News.
Big one remaining in the world, the only one, is Twitter, where we are now. Twitter has long served as the place where our national conversation incubates and develops. Twitter is not a partisan site. Everybody's allowed here, and we think that's a good thing. And yet, for the most part, the news that you see analyzed on Twitter comes from media organizations that are themselves thinly disguised propaganda outlets. You see it on cable news, you talk about it on Twitter. The result may feel like a debate, but actually the gatekeepers are still in charge. We think that's a bad system. We know exactly how it works, and we're sick of it. Starting soon, we'll be bringing a new version of the show we've been doing for the last 6.5 years.
Now, guys, I let that clip go a little bit longer than average, roughly 45 seconds. But don't worry, I'll play the full 3-minute clip here in a second. So it looks like all those videos that Fox News released, all that additional stuff they had in their little dossier on Tucker Carlson seemed to have backfired. But then again, though, I did say, I think roughly a week or two ago in these videos here, that it would not surprise me, and I was actually damn near calling it, that Tucker Carlson would probably team up and go on Twitter at some point in time. Now, we don't know the full details on this, but it's pretty obvious with the advent of Elon Musk now running Twitter. And by the way, I'm not an Elon fan, never have been an Elon fan. As a matter of fact, I've even questioned his motives before. I think I even did a couple of videos asking the question if Elon was not playing conservatives. But of course, Elon Musk had kind of explained on multiple occasions that he had voted for Obama twice. And I think he voted for Hillary Clinton, and that the Overton window had shifted so much that him being the traditional lib pro-free speech type just did not exist anymore, because liberals love their censorship, they love their SJW stuff, and they obviously love to make everyone's lives miserable at every single turn. Don't worry, we will talk about this more in a second. Now, before we get there, let's go ahead and roll the full clip, and then I'll come back on and say, oh, wait. Make sure you guys hit that like button so that way the video will actually take off in the algorithm. And if you guys can, make sure you guys also leave a comment as well. I would love to get you guys' thoughts, and it also, once again, helps out with the algorithm. Now let's watch the video.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson. You often hear people say the news is full of lies, but most of the time that's not exactly right. Much of what you see on television or read the New York Times is in fact true in the literal sense. It could pass one of the media's own fact checks. Lawyers would be willing to sign off on it. In fact, they may have. But that doesn't make it true. It's not true. At the most basic level, the news you consume is a lie of the stealthiest and most insidious kind. Facts have been withheld on purpose, along with proportion and perspective. You are being manipulated. How does that work? Let's see. If I tell you that a man has been unjustly arrested for armed robbery, that is not, strictly speaking, a lie. He may have been framed. At this point, there's been no trial, so no one can really say. But if I don't mention the fact that the same man has been arrested for the same crime 6 times before, am I really informing you? No, I'm not. I'm misleading you. And that's what the news media are doing in every story that matters, every day of the week, every week of the year. What's it like to work in a system like that? After more than 30 years in the middle of it, we could tell you stories. The best you can hope for in the news business at this point is the freedom to tell the fullest truth that you can. But there are always limits. And you know that if you bump up against those limits often enough, you will be fired for it. That's not a guess. It's guaranteed. Every person who works in English language media understands that. The rule of what you can't say defines everything. It's filthy, really, and it's utterly corrupting. You can't have a free society if people aren't allowed to say what they think is true. Speech is the fundamental prerequisite for democracy. That's why it's enshrined in the first of our constitutional amendments. Amazingly, as of tonight, there aren't many platforms left that allow free speech. The last big one remaining in the world, the only one, is Twitter, where we are now. Twitter has long served as the place where our national conversation incubates and develops. Twitter is not a partisan site. Everybody's allowed here, and we think that's a good thing. And yet, for the most part, the news that you see analyzed on Twitter comes from media organizations that are themselves thinly disguised propaganda outlets. You see it on cable news, you talk about it on Twitter. The result may feel like a debate, but actually the gatekeepers are still in charge. We think that's a bad system. We know exactly how it works, and we're sick of it. Starting soon, we'll be bringing a new version of the show we've been doing for the last 6.5 years to Twitter. We'll be bringing some other things too, which we'll tell you about. But for now, we're just grateful to be here. Free speech is the main right that you have. Without it, you have.
And he's also foregoing his $25 million severance package, which, by the way, Fox News obviously had in his contract. I think I said before that he had an NDA. This is kind of risky for Fox News to be doing this. I mean, God knows what Tucker could be saying over the next year. Basically, what I'm trying to say is this here: instead of waiting a year and living on the cash that he already sits on, he's going to be talking now. So I'm pretty sure things are going to be getting a little bit interesting all the way through 2024 and possibly even beyond. Now, guys, I don't think I have to go into what can be said and what cannot be said, because obviously I think people know at this point in time that you have to self-censor. And obviously the mainstream media, they have this propensity to play the WWE game. I've talked about this before, and we'll probably make a much, much larger project on this. But our mainstream media oftentimes doesn't exactly give us the full truth. I think I have said this at least a few times, especially in recent videos, that oftentimes when something happens, they tell us what should happen, or they tell us what the law should cover or what the law should be, and they don't actually tell us what it is. They also tell us how something should go, when in reality it normally goes the opposite direction. Very, very much out of touch with its main audiences, especially Fox News. CNN has been downgraded. They've been going bad for a very long time. It's actually been, really, to tell you the truth, kind of funny how they devolved. But then again, though, if you were around in 2007, 2008 time frame, you could have seen everything that happened post 2015. You could have seen it coming. And of course, Don Lemon got fired. They've had to change leadership over there. They're trying to, let's just say, they're trying to make that channel a little bit more moderate, even though their attempts will more than likely fail. And then, of course, you've got MSDNC. Now, MSDNC is a special topic that I normally don't ever cover here on this channel. The reason why is because the personalities over there are so freaking stupid. Why in the hell would I want to bother you with their nonsense? But Fox News, on the other hand, has always been the go-to for most conservatives. Now, gang, I stopped watching Fox, as I've told you guys before, back in 2017, 2018 time frame. I began to notice a bit of a shift. I would still be subscribed to their YouTube channel if something came up, like say if it's something from Jesse Waters or Tucker Carlson came up. And at that time, I was still watching Hannity every now and again, but after a while, it just got bland. I would watch those two in particular, and if something was breaking, I would normally go to Fox. But of course, I wasn't an actual, honest-to-God consumer of all their content. It used to be back in the day, you could sit down and watch cable news and actually be entertained. Fox News was kind of the bastion of that. But still, at the same time, though, you got to wonder exactly how muzzled Tucker Carlson was. You got to wonder how muzzled everybody else is at Fox. And many people were already speculating that Greg Gutfeld was probably the next to go. Now, really quick, let me talk a little bit about the actual evolution of Tucker Carlson. Many people don't realize this, but Tucker Carlson actually worked at CNN, and he actually worked at MSDNC at one point in time. He was more of the libertarian type, not the full conservative type. He's now kind of shifted his philosophy more to the paleo-conservative type, so it does not surprise me that he's going to Twitter, and he's probably going to do basically his opening monologue just about every single night. Now, I know you're seeing TuckerCarlson.com, and you're probably thinking he may charge a subscription service, but let's be honest, if you have a Twitter account, chances are you're probably going to get some Tucker Carlson from time to time, especially if it's like a monologue or something. And so, yeah, he's going to be on Twitter where he's going to have a lot more freedom, and not to mention it looks like this is a joint venture with Elon himself. Which brings me to one last point, and I want to go ahead and say this right now. Tucker Carlson did very well on Fox, especially in his time slot, for really two reasons. It wasn't just his opening monologues. It was the fact that Tucker had a crossover audience. Many people who were not conservative, many people who were a little bit more moderate could actually watch his content, watch his opening monologue, and think to themselves, this guy right here is pretty smart. As a matter of fact, I think it was the 2017 Politicon debate thing. I think it was, I want to say it was like Jink debated Ben Shapiro, and there was this nice little sit down between him and Tucker Carlson. And if you actually watch it, and I'll try to find a copy of it and put it inside the description box of this video or a link to it, I advise you guys watch it. It seems to me like Tucker just kind of dominates the entire thing, and of course he basically has the audience in the palm of his hand. Not saying Tucker's some great orator or anything, even though he's obviously very talented and he knows his stuff and he's pretty well based. The thing is this right here. Tucker, in that little debate, kind of showed you the type of talent that he has to be able to get people to listen to him. Whether it be a bunch of Democrats, a bunch of libs, a bunch of conservatives, a bunch of people who don't even like Tucker, when Tucker Carlson speaks, people tend to listen. And I think that him using Elon as a vessel, seeing how Twitter is kind of like the only thing we have at this moment in time, and seeing how the playing field's been leveled, and a lot of liberals are even leaving the platform, yes, it is safe to say that Tucker could cause a lot of problems for the establishment. And at the same exact time, he could also bring over a lot more people to the conservative side of the aisle with just good old-fashioned facts and logic. There are some people out there who have been how do I say, browbeat with Tucker Carlson's a fascist, pro-Russia, all that stuff there, and people have not even listened. I recall working with somebody, and even just somebody brought Tucker Carlson. Next thing you know, you heard somebody screaming, "Oh, he's dumb, he's stupid." He's like, "Man, you even listen to this guy even talk?" That's how much the mainstream media kind of beat that whole narrative about him in there. That's how they kind of did it, to where people were like 18, 19, 20 years old. They didn't want to hear the name. They just went ahead and just started just booing it right off the bat. So the mainstream media, of course, can in fact have some influence. But after a while, when you begin to realize that your life, that your head, your brain, everything's kind of like a shell, and once it begins to actually grow and you start to see things and you start to actually live in real life, you start to see that things are not exactly what the media says it is, because once again, they live inside of a bubble, and they are also infected. Guys, John Claymore here. If you like the content, please hit the like button. Make sure you guys do that so that way the video will travel up the algorithm. Please leave a comment in the comment section. If you're new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe and turn on the notifications bell so that way you guys are notified when my videos come out. And I'll see you guys later.